boys and girls, it's Miss Rossi. Today we're going to do some origami. Let's get started. What you'll be needing today is a scissor, a glue stick. You can also use tape if you don't have any glue. And we're going to need 2 pieces of paper. One's going to be our background paper. I'm going to use black as my background paper today, but you can use white or any other color you have at home. And we're going to need 1 piece of paper that has some type of design, is colored in, or is just a different color than our background paper. I colored in a white piece of paper with all different colored markers to create a nice designed paper that I can cut up and use for my origami, but you can use any kind of paper if you want to try wrapping paper or newspaper, something with a print or design on it. That's going to work best. You can even just color in a plain piece of paper like I did with any kind of design and use that. It does not have to look perfect because we're going to be cutting it and folding it anyway. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our colorful piece of paper and I'm going to put my black paper to the side. I'm going to turn my paper so it is vertical, tallest going up and down, and I'm going to fold my paper in half once by just connecting those 2 long edges and creasing the side. And I'm going to fold my paper in half a second time and creasing the side. So you should end up unfolding your paper and getting 4 tall, long, skinny rectangles that are all roughly the same size. You're going to take your scissor and you're just going to cut along those folded lines to cut out our strips that we're going to use for our origami. After you cut out your 4 strips of paper, you're going to take each one and you're going to fold it in half again. We want some long and skinny pieces of paper today, so I'm folding it the long way, all the way down, creasing it, and then I'm going to cut down that line so I can cut each one of my strips in half. Once you're done, you're going to have 8 strips of paper, and for our project we only need 4. So you're going to pick your favorite out of the bunch, and then the other 4 you can put aside and save for another project. I think I'm going to take this one, these 2, and this one, and I will put these aside. Your extra pieces are great to practice on before you use your final paper if you're afraid to mess them up. We're going to create the year 2020 out of our strips of paper. So one paper is going to be a 2, then a 0, then another 2, and then another 0 to celebrate the years that we're graduating Woodside. Alright, so we're going to pick our first strip that we want to start with and we're going to fold it into a 2. I'm going to hold my strip and I'm going to flip it over so that the colorful side is on the back. If you're using a paper that is patterned on both sides, you want the pattern that you like the most or the design you like the most to be on the back at this point. Now I'm going to start on this corner and I'm just going to fold that corner over my strip so that now I can see that colorful side that was on the back, and the edge of my long strip here is hanging over the rest of my paper by just a little bit. We have a nice diagonal line and we have that overlapping edge there. So I just folded that corner right across. Next, you're going to want to leave a little more than a finger space, and we're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it down. So folding from the back so I can see that colorful side and bringing it down. Again, we have that nice diagonal line here, and my strip is overlapping that white piece that we can still see. I'm going to turn my paper so it's easier for me to see what's going on. And now I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to fold this strip so it comes down and out the bottom. So I am just taking that piece and folding it behind. So now I get that diagonal line again, and the rest of my strip is coming down. I'm going to rotate my paper back. So now the extra piece of paper is coming out towards the left. And I'm going to leave, again, a little more than a finger space here before I turn and bend this paper down again. So we're making the same fold every single time where we're just folding our strip across itself. So we're getting a diagonal edge and the rest of the strip is straight going down. And now we have one more fold left. So I'm going to rotate my piece of paper and I'm going to lift this up and I'm just going to bend this over my colored paper and press it down. So again, I get that diagonal edge there and the rest of my strip is coming out to the side. And that is going to make our two. I'm going to take my glue stick just so my ends don't keep popping up and I'm going to add a little glue under here to keep that area shut. And I'm going to add a little glue at this crease to keep that part closed as well. If you want, you can flip it over and put some extra glue on the other folds too, so those stay where they are, but once we glue it down to our final paper, it should be fine. I just like to get those edges glued down. And now I have my first two. I'm going to save that over there and grab my next piece of paper. On my next piece of paper, I'm going to make another two because we need two twos for the year 2020. So I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did. If you want, you can keep your pattern on the front this time and see how that will turn out when we're done. So I'm going to keep my pattern on the front to see what that's going to look like. I'm going to start at my left edge and I'm just folding that corner over to create a diagonal crease and to let my paper slightly overhang the rest of my strip. And now I can move over. I'm going to do a little more than one finger space and then fold my paper down. The next thing I'm going to do is turn my piece of paper and I'm going to fold it so that my color edge is going to pop out from the bottom and press that down. So now I can see that I'm making that top part of my two. I'm going to leave a little more than a finger space, fold my paper down to create a diagonal edge, and then I am going to turn it, bend this piece up, and fold it across. So now I have kind of the opposite color situation happening here, which looks pretty cool. I'm just going to put glue on my edges and stick those back down. So now I have my two twos for my 2020 and now I need two zeros. So I have my piece of paper that I want to use to make my zero. I'm going to flip it over so the colored side is on the back to get started. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did to start my two by folding over that front corner so it overhangs the rest of our strip of paper here. I'm going to keep following those same steps for my two by leaving a little bit more than one finger space across my top and folding that strip over. As I'm folding this over, I want to make sure it's kind of coming down straight. I don't want to create a diagonal that's going to kick it out to the side. I want it to go down as straight as I can. It's easiest if you bring your paper to where you want it and then crease it afterwards. After I have this side down, I'm going to turn my paper and like our two, I'm going to fold this piece underneath and out this side. Now, however long I make this piece is how tall my zero is going to be. So I want it to be a little bit wider than we did before. I'm going to do 3 finger spaces from that top edge here. And then I'm going to bend my paper back. I'm lining my paper up where I want it. And then I'm going to press down on my crease. And now I'm going to fold this end up to meet the edge that I started with, and I made a zero. And now you can glue your finishing edge over your starting edge to keep it nice and round. And there is my zero all finished to go with my 2020. Now something special about the zero is you can flip it over and decide if you like the back more than the front in terms of how your pattern looks and keep it that way. I think I'm going to keep mine like that for right now. I'm going to take my last piece of paper and do the exact same folds to make a second zero. So I'm going to flip this over so the colored side is on the back. I'm going to fold that first corner in so it overlaps my paper just a little bit. I'm going to leave a little bit more than a finger space and fold this paper down so it is nice and straight. So I will line it up until it is straight, hold it down, and press that crease. Going to turn my paper. I'm going to give 3 finger spaces for how tall I'd like my O. Fold that paper underneath. Hold it where I'd like it and crease. And then rotate it fold it up so it lines up, and then crease one last time. And now that that is folded, I can take my glue and just glue those edges together. And now with my origami numbers, I can spell out 2020. I'm going to grab my black piece of paper. So my numbers are bigger than my black piece of paper, so I'm going to scatter them on my paper. So my 2 is going to start up there. My first 0 is going to overlap my 2 just a little bit down here. Then I could put my next 2 and my next 0. So they overlap and they can fit, and you can still read that as 2020. I'm going to glue those on with my glue stick. And to finish off your project, you can leave it just like this, or you can use something like a crayon or a marker to add some decorations in the background. Since I used black paper, I'm going to use a silver crayon. You can use a white crayon, a white colored pencil, or a silver Sharpie or a gel pen to add some little decorations. I'm just going to do some confetti dots in the background. You can do some firework lines. Along with your confetti dots, you can add balloons, however you want to celebrate the class of 2020 in your picture. And that is my 2020 origami picture all finished. When you finish your project, be sure to take a picture of it and share it with me. I can't wait to see the amazing work you guys create to celebrate your graduation. Try your best, have fun, and get creative. Bye!